Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well. Today as we come to our word from the word, and today that word is friendship. Friendship. Now, we talked about yesterday how Saul had fabricated basically that he wasn't going to kill David, and then he turns around and is ready to go after him. Earlier in the week, we talked about the fear of Samuel as he was getting ready to go out and anoint David compared to the fearlessness of David as he was fighting Goliath. So today is a little bit I want us to see from yesterday that fabrication as Saul was swearing an oath, that we see that Jonathan and David say something similar, but I want you to notice the difference here. So today, 1 Samuel chapter 20 is where we're going to be at. And if you know anything about the friendship of Jonathan and David, you know that it is very sincere. They loved one another. And it is, as the Lord would have it, that Jonathan is heir to the throne, but David is going to be the next king. So he shouldn't like him, right? I mean, he should be upset, but he's not. He stands in the gap for him quite often between what Saul's wrath wants to be and trying to keep David safe. And I pray, as always, that you're reading all these passages so you can see what's going on. But they have this plan set up of how he can communicate the message to David so that he will be able to know whether or not it's safe to come or that he needs to run and leave from Saul. And that ends up being the case. But here in 1 Samuel chapter 20, I want us to look at we're going to look at verse 23 and then get down to the end of the chapter in verse 42. They're setting up this plan of what they're going to do. And in verse 23, it says, "And as for the matter which you and I have spoken of, indeed, the Lord be between you and me forever." Verse 42, "Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, since we have both sworn in the name of the Lord, saying, May the Lord be between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. So he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city." Now, it's something to think about, just friendship, and how we can bring prayer into our earthly friendships. These brothers prayed together. I wonder how many friends you have that you pray with. Now, some of you think, yeah, of course, friends that I go to church with. Okay. What about friends outside of the particular church you're in? I mean, maybe they go to another church, still within the body of Christ. Or how many of you would have to look for a pretty long ways before you found a friend that you felt comfortable praying with? And I'm not here judging your friendships. That's just something for us to think about. There's a lot that we have that are really close friends, and then we have some that are acquaintances. And so I'm talking about really those close-knit friends. That needs to be godly people. You need to surround yourself with godly people. See, outside of that, those acquaintances that you can have, yes, obviously, how are we ever going to show anybody the love of Jesus if we're never friends with anybody? Right? Jesus, friend of sinners. But his close-knit group, those disciples. And then even within the disciples, he had even a closer group. See, that's the way it needs to be with us. And I want this to be an encouragement for you today, because any friendship, and really for that matter, any relationship that has God at its center, that's going to be a relationship that lasts. A marriage that keeps God in the middle is a marriage that lasts. A friendship that keeps God in the center is going to be a friendship that lasts. See, that's what was going on with Jonathan and David, is that throughout all of this, they were seeking God's will. They were listening to what he was telling them, and then they even prayed together, God, be between us forever. In other words, no matter what the miles may do, no matter how far we'll be separated, keep us friends forever. I have a great many friends that I can confide in that don't live anywhere near me. Brothers that I could pick up the phone and call, and we could talk together and pray together, no matter where the miles are. And that's kind of the same thing that David and Jonathan were saying, is not just us. I pray that we pass it on to our children. You know what? I think it's funny, and I'll just share this, and I've shared this before. One of the great things, Brother Rick Vi and his son Jared, Well, Rick and my dad have been friends for a long time, and today's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday! And so as they've always been great friends. Well, then once I met Jared, and that's a nice long story, but we came together, hit it off, and we would meet, every couple of months or so for lunch or breakfast or whatever. And so then the dads found out about it, and they were like, "Well, hey, can y'all, bring the dads along sometime?" So, isn't it something though that friendships can go from generation to generation, even within families, especially if the God's at the center? See, why would we be so worried about friends on earth if they're not godly friends? And you might be one of those say, "Look, I don't have any friends. I'm not a people person." Okay, well that's another discussion for another time, because God's told us to go out and witness. And how are we going to do that if we're not if we're not people? Yeah, something like that. But here's what I want to encourage you with. So maybe you're one of those that doesn't have a lot of friends, don't have any in that real close knit group. Let me just leave you with this word of encouragement. This is encouragement for us all. Don't ever forget, as we're talking about prayer, don't ever forget that you have a friend in Jesus. And he's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. God bless you all. And I pray you have a great, great day.